the data subject to understand that is consent is being requested and what it is for. So now when you're talking about informed consent, that means that the data subject has to know why his data is being collected and how it is to be processed. So you don't just
key. Yeah, Shadi, listen. No, go on.
Yeah, so you cannot just assume that because the data subject is silent or because of his inactivity, actually, then you can't think that constitutes consent. It has to be positive, it has to be clear, and it has to be unequivocal, basically. And it has to know that at the point that you are collecting, you are seeking his consent and you're obtaining it, he has the right to withdraw it.
You know what's amazing? Now, just not to deviate, because I think we're talking AI and privacy here. I mean, if you took consent to another conversation of male and female entities, hope it will hold true. Because now we're hearing for consent, even in systems, getting information this way as your email. That I gave you my email, for whatever, doesn't mean you should send me your offer. I mean, even if I liked the offer, and if I said, oh, I like the offer today, and I said I didn't want the offer again, there is space for that. And these are Shadi, please, you will expand on that more. But I want to take Temi's comment so we don't lose it. So, Temi, what's up?
Yeah, what's up? So, to play devil's advocate here.
Sorry?
To play devil's advocate.
Okay.
Sometimes, as teams get larger,
okay,
as organizations get bigger and start to play in different countries and offer more products, they can't help but increase their, in quotes, length of privacy policy documents.
Okay.
Because, as Shadi mentioned, for example, Nigeria has the NDPR with a list of 10 items that Nigerian corporations or companies operating in Nigeria have to adhere to.
Yeah.
I imagine that other countries also have their own lists in their own data privacy policies. And if said company or organization wants to play in that country, then they have to kind of elaborate on that privacy policy.
Okay.
Which means that that document would increase in size. The more offerings, the more features, the more the countries they are playing in, then as an organization, you have to protect yourself. You also have to protect your users. Protect your users first, then protect yourself. But if you want to exist and continue serving said users, then you have to protect yourself, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, sometimes these companies can't help it. Could they work on it to give users a brief version of it? Yes, maybe they could do that. But in general, it usually kind of has to be long, especially as the organization gets bigger.
Okay. So I think with the size of organization comes, how extensive the privacy policy could be, just to protect the organization, protect the users too. And I like how that sounds. But I think also, I don't know, maybe Evans can help. Okay, Shadi, yes, I'm listening.
Okay, so to reply you, Timmy, I would say that the fact that the law requires that they should be concise does not mean that you can add other relevant information. The law just states that it lists these clauses that must be included in your privacy policy. Then you can add other relevant information, but you must pay attention to making sure that it is concise, or you have a summary of it that the users of whatever product can access and see. I hope that's clear.
Yeah, that clarifies it.
Okay. Thank you.
Hello, please. I have a question.
Ahmed, could you just hold
Okay.
on? Could you hold your questions
Okay.
for a bit?
Okay.
Yes. So like we'll take questions. We'll eventually take questions. I just want to make sure we cover up all grounds on it.
Okay, that's because it's
Thank
coming
you so much.
is coming out from what Shadi just spoke about. So
Okay, you know what? Just ask your
oh,
question. Ask your question so you don't.
thank you,
Yeah.
thank you. So I wanted to ask. So does the law? So because I found out that really what happens is that most of these would I call it smart contracts or all of these consent forms that the several platforms provide that you just click yes I accept. What they thrive on is to provide exception or to give exceptions to your rights, and then when you say I accept, that now binds you. So the why the law will say one thing, they'll just write something else there that gives them rights to do other things that the law probably doesn't provide for. Is there any protection under the law to stop them from doing that? That's one. And secondly, so third-party information. I know most of these loan apps, what they do now is you give off they will now have access to your data or to your contacts, and then they can send people all sorts of messages. Is there some sort of protection for third parties or persons who are not connected to the transaction to protect their own information or something like that? So that's really my question.
Okay, thank you so much, Ahmed. That's a good point you raised. Shadi, would you want to take that question?
Okay, with respect to the third parties, with respect to the third party's access to your information, the third party is still bound by the provisions that are applicable to the data controller. So the data controller has to have a written contract with whichever third party that they are sharing your information with, and they also have to ensure that there's strict adherence to the regulation. So your consent actually, you have to be the data subject has to be been informed that is information will be shared with the third party, and then the consent for that particular one, that particular exchange or transfer must be present. So the third party is also bound by the law, by the regulations, by the law, by the act, to ensure that they do not breach your rights to privacy. That's one. I didn't quite get the first question. Sorry.
Thank you, Shadi. Ahmed, do you want to ask your question? Your first question again.
So my first question. Okay, so this is like a practical question. So is practice that whenever you try to, so let's assume that you apply for a loan from a bank or you download an app, like maybe a writing app. Let me even say Grammarly or something, and you see that some of the terms, the hidden terms and conditions that we usually wouldn't read, would constitute a waiver to some of these rights. So while the law might provide for one thing, some of these terms and conditions that you click I accept to, which binds you, would tend to deviate from what the law the law says. So in that circumstance, is there a way, because they thrive more on exceptions? Because if the law says do this, and then they say this will apply to you, this will apply to you, and this will apply to you, and you click yes, so that's you agreeing that those terms and conditions, irrespective of what any law says, binds you. So is there anything under the law that stops any of these organizations or that prevents certain kind of information not to be waived by maybe terms and conditions or in any circumstance? I don't know if you get the question. I'm just finding a way to put it out across to you clearly.
Okay, so
thank you,
okay,
Ahmed.
so
Yes, Shadi.
okay, thank you very much. So I get what you're saying now, and I think that everything boils down to consent. So that's why I mentioned earlier that consent is no longer passive; it is active. It is active, and it has to have been gotten. The data subject has to understand that this is what you want to use my data for. Now that you mentioned Grammarly, I remember that my colleague wanted to subscribe, and then he read through the terms and conditions, which is very important. And he saw that by using the keyboard, they will have access to his accounts, and then that was just the turn up for him, and he didn't proceed. So it's very important because the moments that you give or you grant them consent, they can use it. So the information, so long as the information is clear and equivocal and you click yes, they can use your information.
Wow. Thank you so much, Shadi. Evans has had his hand up for like a few minutes now. So, Evans, you want to say something?
Yes, definitely. I hope my network stays
Yeah.
aligned this time. Yeah, but just still on this subject of when you opt into something, and especially for our business owners and then other professionals here. I mean, I've had experiences. I still had one like 2 months ago. Especially if you know you're going to be operating in stricter um, economies, like the US, for instance, they have like way stricter rules about these things. Not like Nigeria alone.
Yeah.
Like 2 months ago, I remember there was a website we built, and the once the I don't know the legal term for this, but once the person that is suing is able to prove that there is just one extra thing which goes to design, for instance. So in this case, the person was able to prove that um, even though the terms and conditions were there and they clicked yes,
Yeah.
because they couldn't read the terms and conditions with a screen reader, which they claimed to have a disability that makes it harder for them to read. So they have to use a screen reader. So the terms and conditions have to be read out, and they couldn't use it for that website. They were still able to sue that company. It was a website that my agency actually worked on, and I was one of the designers in it. So that's why I knew a lot about this particular case. So when you're still building a product, first, one of the things, especially in design, is that you have to be very sure to make all the options clear. For instance, if you see how Google presents even terms and conditions,
Mm-hmm.
because they know it's an extensive document, like Shani has said before, and they are operating in lots of countries and all of that. Yes, there are so many things to consider, but the navigation also has to be really clean and clear and like easy for anybody to read through. And then you must do the work of bringing out all the points. And since we're on the subject of AI, there are actually AI platforms that would help you look through um your website and see if it's privacy compliant. So you can actually still leverage AI to see if your platform
Which is
is
funny. It's like a
compliant
full cycle.
with people's privacy. Exactly. So there's really no excuse, because at the end of the day, if a user is able to prove, oh yes, the information was there, but I wasn't able to navigate it clearly. If they're able
Yeah.
to prove it, even though they clicked yes, even though they opted into it by themselves, if they're able to say, oh, it was hidden, this particular thing was hidden,
Yeah.
and there was no way I could read it. There was, for instance, another case, I was not part of the project, but I read about it. There was a timer to making a purchase. The purchase, and sometimes you have to buy something and then they send you a code, and there's like a timer. And then the person claimed that because of the timer, it pushed them to making their decision urgently, so they had no time to read through terms and conditions. Once they were able to
Wow.
establish that, they
Yeah.
still won the case. Shade can maybe give more light on
Yes.
the legality of all of that. But just to say, as a designer and as a business
Homegrown.
person, you have to be very conscious about how you design your systems to prevent against these things.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much, Evans, for that. I'm sure Shadi will comment on that. Timmy, did you want to say something?
Oh, I just wanted to say that was an own goal for the company because that's not cool. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think as Evans mentioned, there are tools to
Mm-hmm.
help. I think this is even a very good um, solution. I don't know if someone is building on this where AI
Wow. What
plays,
ideas dropping here?
yeah, where where AI plays a very, very important role. I mean, helping you understand privacy policies and basically letting the user know, hey, this is a gotcha, or this is something that
Don't go there.
that you care
Mm-hmm.
about, that you might want to consider before clicking accept. I also think that beyond just privacy as we have described it here, or as we have been
Yeah.
talking about it here, there are also aspects of um, currently, for example, people's information that is even
Yeah.
public, but that has been used to, for example, train a model, right?
Okay.
Um,
Yes, that's another thing.
as many of us know, OpenAI is currently facing quite a number of lawsuits. They're in the middle of,
Shade will tell us a lot about that. So just keep going.
and that's because I don't know. I feel like if I sue them now, I might make a few,
You win.
I make a few thousands. Just a joke, but
Oh,
there's so much that they have done because the data was publicly available. Question is, can that data be used? Because I tweeted these things. I mean, I put it in the public anyways. So
yeah.
am I the ones to sue? Is Twitter the one to sue? Question, I think some of the questions we should be answering is like, who owns the data?
Yeah.
Do I own my tweets?
Yeah.
Or if I sign something to Twitter, now Twitter owns my tweet. So Twitter is the one that sues. Things like that.
Okay. Okay. So, Tim, is it a rhetorical question? Because you need to answer it though.
Oh, no, I have no answer to that. It's a rhetorical question. I can tell you, though,
Okay.
that
You can tell us though.
that
Okay.
many companies right now are really taking their data privacy seriously. And part of the things that there's some basic things that you should take care of, like encryption in transit and encryption at rest. So while your data while data is being exchanged across systems, you want to ensure that it's encrypted, and even while it's at rest, you want to ensure that that's encrypted too. So I mean, that's basic standard that any company should take note of. Ensuring that you do proper authentication and authorization. I think that has been mentioned too. So I mean, those are the very basics. So there's the part of the one that we have been talking about more recently with users and well, basically who owns the data and how is that data handled here.
Thank you, Tammy. So just to follow through with your, let's say, rhetorical question that will be answered, I will ask Shade a few questions in line with that, hopefully. But Esther's hand is up. So Esther, you have the floor. I know we need to round this off soon. So.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So I kind of wanted to build up on what Evans had said and what Shola also said. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. We can. I hope we can.
Okay, so yeah, I don't know. Why do I always start with I don't know? Sorry, just a filler word. Okay, so I want to make a reference to the fact that, okay, I mean, apart from businesses and all of those things, we have a number of people here who are primarily users or consumers of product and all of those things and all that. And one thing I always emphasize is the fact that please read up on standards, data privacy standards and all of those. At least know the basic ones, because they are there to protect you as the user. So yeah, they are not foolproof. They're always improving, subject to change and all of those things. But they provide the minimum benchmark, right, that guide how businesses and companies and all of those things collect and use your data. So for instance, like GDPR privacy rule, that's like European Union and the European Economic Area and all of those things. There's actually a rule in one of GDPR's privacy rules, which is the right to be forgotten, which is why what Evans and Shola was saying kind of reminded me of that, and I wanted to put that in that the owner of the data must be able to request that the platform should delete their data. And the platform must comply and must make the process very easy for you to do that. Not that you tell them, oh, I want to delete my account. I want you to get my data off your website. So for instance, My data was used to train models. And funny enough, in the age of generative AI and all of those things, all of us are
Yes.
running to like do the next cool thing. So we are trying to, do cool stuff with our pictures. We are trying to do this, we are trying to do that, and all of those things. But then
Yeah.
half the time, as you've referenced a number of time in this conversation, that a lot of people actually don't sit down to read the fine print, right? And all
Yes.
of that. So when right now we've had this conversation, you've read up on it, and then you realize, oh wow, my data is somewhere some hanging out there, not being
Waiting for the
protected,
next
anybody.
person.
You could actually go to those websites and employ the right to be forgotten rule and say, you know what, I want you to delete my data off your platform completely, right? And they
Yeah.
must comply. And it must not be one, a lot of mental and physical gymnastics where you send a mail, you do this, you
Yeah.
do that. They'll now redirect you to 1,000,001 pages before you get that done and all of those things. If they refuse to follow that, then you have a right to sue them, right?
Lovely.
And all. But again, this is also hinged on the fact that those platforms already, before you engage those platforms, which is I think is a very big loophole that we often forget, as long as the platform is not subject to any form of privacy policy clearly written on their website, as our lawyer lady has said, right? Then you
Yeah.
actually have nothing to hold them against. So as much as we can hold a lot of businesses and products and platforms to, they have to do this, they have to do that. You as the user also have to be very, very personally, you have to take accountability for your own data privacy and all.
Yeah.
Before you upload your picture on any website, to generate one cool avatar or something like that,
That's not
make
the
sure that you
brain.
go through and that the privacy policy is clearly written and which one do they adhere to. There are some
Exactly.
considerations in GDPR that the US does not follow and vice versa and all of those things. So you ensure
Yeah.
that you put that. And then as regards this question on who owns the data and all of this, well, from the health perspective, we always say that, or we always advocate rightfully that the patient ultimately owns
Owns
their
the
data.
data.
Right now, they can give you consent, to use it, maybe to advance. How do you, what was that thing we used to write in our final year thesis? To add
Project.
to the body of knowledge,
Add to the body
to
of knowledge.
fill
Yeah.
fill the
Yeah.
research gaps and all of those things. But ultimately, no facility or no provider or no whatever should have a right to withhold your data from you, right? And all of that. But of course, with different systems, with different countries, with different things, and of course, funny enough, there are new things that are coming up, new innovations, new solutions, new advances that are coming up that is making us having to go back to have a rethink on some of the standards we have in place. So
Yeah.
I realized that there are times when there are some things you didn't make provisions for because they didn't exist before. So now we have to go back, which is why, as much as we're having these conversations, we also have to expand it to also involve policymakers, to also involve the people who are actually going to make the key
Yes.
decisions that influence,
And
how
the
we use
data
data and
usage.
how these things are protected, right, in our nations, in our locality, and all of those things, so that we can ensure that we as businesses, the users themselves, and the data, even inanimate as it is, are being protected.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Esther, for that. That's why we have, our founders here, our designers here. Shade is here. Shade wants to say something. Evans wants to say something too. Ladies first. Shade, you have the floor. I have the autonomy. Sorry.
Okay, thank you, Toyin. I
Yes.
wanted to speak on the right to be forgotten that
Yeah.
Esther just mentioned. It's in the European General Data Protection Regulation, and it's the right to erasure, and there are grounds upon which the data controller should do that. So
Yeah.
it's not like an open right. It's an open right, yes, but even the European GDPR says that the right to privacy is not absolute, and you have to give considerations to other factors like the functions of society and balance against other fundamental rights in accordance with the principles of proportionality, basically.
We
So
believe.
it's not absolute. There are grounds upon which the right to be forgotten will apply. So it's I know that you guys are tech guys, but it's always
She didn't
prudent
just do
and
that.
very for you to
It's subject
um
to.
for you to engage professionals so that they can help
Yeah.
you make sure that you're on the right path.
So professionals like lawyers, and we have them here.
Yes, you can reach out to
Definitely.
us.
Yes,
You can reach
please, by
out
all
to
means, Evans.
my company,
Yes.
the Broderick Bozimo and
Yeah.
Company. Yeah, you can actually send us a mail at legalai@broderickbozimo.com. Would
Did
take your
you
questions and then help you with whatever legal challenges that you have.
did you guys hear that at legal.ai? Did you hear that? Like the legal
Thank
Legal,
you.
legal
So I
AI
was
is
even
capital
wondering.
AI
Yes, Shadi, I'm listening.
at legalai@broderickbozimo.com.
Who was speaking?
Yeah,
Sophie
I was
saying I was
wondering
wondering.
if
Okay.
it was something she could type and then you pin it so everybody can see.
Yes, Shadi, put it down in the comments. You see like a box that says 6. Okay, Evans, yes, you can talk now. Please speak.
I don't laugh, man. Actually, Shadi, I was going to mention what you first mentioned, what you said about the right to be forgotten to Esther. That is actually
Yeah.
not absolutely true because, um, especially because you've also accepted terms and conditions, number one, and because so think about it from like a criminal perspective. You finish, doing something wrong, and if the government requests the tech company can provide the data. But then there is also requests. You can also request your data. That's one of the most common trends now. So you
Yeah.
can request to see the data that they have. For instance, like Instagram, I know, even WhatsApp and Facebook. You can click to see the data they have on you, like all of the data that has been collected. You can
Okay.
download it and go
Okay.
through it. So that's one of the ways. So I was in a brainstorm session early October last year, and one of the major things that we were brainstorming was exactly this thing on how to redesign privacy solutions for
Yeah.
people and how to make people understand. Because I think I saw a question in the thread or something that why should the layman care? And you may not care until it is important. We've seen cases of people being fired from work because somebody took their tools and sent to their office. And sometimes it's not a case of, oh, was it my private space and I could say what I want. Like if I say something in my house, should my office
Yeah.
fire me for that? And then
Mm.
it's Twitter my private space. So being able to understand what people really want. So when you think of UX and what's the experience that the users want, and how do you balance that with creating a technological solution? Especially now that you have AI, and then AI begins to play on reading all of that data, whether or
Mm.
not you explicitly tell it to, because that's what makes AI crazy, because it can do stuff of its own accord that you don't
Yeah.
directly program it to do. So in that case, who bears the burden? So everybody may not say, oh yes, it affects me directly, but
Mm-hmm.
when it now does, and then you now have those questions, or now it's affecting you at that point in time,
Yeah.
what are the solutions that have been created to help you with it? So that's what we're talking about. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Evans. Thank you, Evans, for that. Like this conversation has been so helpful. To the person who wonders why it's important to protect your data. So I think how people will say nobody go tell you is when it comes to it that you will know that okay, now this is important and I need to be asking this question, I need to be doing these things. But so it doesn't get overcomplicated. If you're looking for what you can take out from this conversation is, you as the user, you have a right over your data. The information you hold when it comes to privacy policies are for you and for your use, and you can use them if you are on platforms or use products that are breaching those privacy agreements. You can use them, but it's on you to know them. so you know what you're signing up for. That's important. Temi, you want to say something? I think after Temi, I will ask Shadi some few questions just to round this off. Yeah, so Temi.
Okay, finally, I just wanted to
Yeah.
give a two sentence statement. I see a future where every individual owns their data. The organizations are lenders. I mean, well, borrowers of that data. So
Decentralization we're
as
talking about.
an individual, you can
Yeah.
loan your data for a brief period of time to an organization or to some other entity. So I want to take a loan, for example. You need my data to kind of figure out my credit worthiness. I loan you my banking and application data for a brief period of time, 5 minutes. And after 5 minutes, you're done. That the gate is shut and you no longer have access to it. And you can't make a duplicate of that. I think that system would be an ideal or get us closer to the ideal.
Yeah, that's something that I think that looks like that would be an AI version of Martin Luther, King's speech. I have a dream.
I think it's something in the intersection. I think it's something in the intersection of AI and blockchain. I think so.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes. I'll go talk about the whole decentralization, blockchain systems. That's a conversation on its own over. So Olarinde just dropped off. He has to go to another meeting. But thank you so much, Olarinde. Ripple.ai, if you need to find out more, you can just go. I'll drop the website in the comments. So our speakers, if you have what you're building currently and you need us to check it out, please drop it in the comments and we will engage. So Shade, I have like 2 more questions for you. One is, so often people will talk about how data anonymization would help protect data, right? So how effective is that? And what are so 2 questions, how effective is that? And what are like the legal implications if such data that has been anonymized is like re-identified? If you get me. Hi Shade, you're still muted.
Oh, hello. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay. How many of us have heard about data anonymization? I mean, show of hands. Anyone?
To show of hands, like touch hand icon.
Yeah.
If not, Shade will school us right now, and I'm ready for it.
So if you're using an app or surfing the web or even shopping online, data anonymization is very important to your everyday life than you might think. So imagine you run a small business and you're selling handmade clothes. You want to understand more about your customers to improve your products and sales. So you collect data about their purchases, their sizes, and even their preference as to fabric patterns. But that information is personal and your customers trust you to keep it safe. That's where data anonymization comes into play. So data anonymization is like a magic trick. It takes personal data like a customer's name, address, or phone number and makes it disappear, replaced with random characters or even completely remove it. It's a process that helps you as a business owner, you to use shared data without revealing who it belongs to. But you should care about this because the laws say that you should care about it. The Nigeria Data Protection Act actually mandates businesses to protect people's privacies when handling their personal data. So if you anonymize your customers' data, you're supposed to use it to make business decisions without worrying about violating their privacy. But you have to remember that the basis for this, the foundation for this is consent and other regulations put in place by the laws. So if you do not adhere to the process of collecting or obtaining consent and then informing your customers what you intend to use their data for, yes, then it is business. It is still running foul of the law. So even if the data is anonymized, you still need to have a legal basis for processing it, such as the customer's consent or a legitimate interest. So it is not an escape route from the law. It is a tool to help you comply with it. So there are different ways to anonymize data. You might replace a customer's name with a random ID, but it's important to choose the right one for your specific needs, basically. So data anonymization is good, yeah, but you still have to comply with the law in getting the information in the first place.
Thank you so much, Shadi, for that. I think everybody here now, if you heard data anonymization, it's not going to be like, yes, Shadira's broke it down for us. And she used the fact that she started off as, oh, you have a small business, take measurements. I'm just like, you see, it comes very real. Thank you, Shadi. We stand a legalist or a legal juggernaut that knows how to break things down. We really appreciate it. So, Shadi, one more question I would like to ask you. Demi sending you a round of applause. I love it. So, one more question I would like to ask you is, what does the future hold? When I say future, no, I think I have to, because I need to talk about your article for a bit. But what does the future hold in as regards to legislation when it comes to AI? What does it look like in the legislation front for AI? So people here that want to build stuff, that want to, because AI it's a wave that's staying and it will keep growing. So if we have people here that have future interests in doing something with AI, we want to know, what does the legislation look like? What changes should we expect? Yes, pretty much predict future.
Okay. Predicting the future is always tricky because of the rapid evolution in the field of technology and legislation. But I can give you some educated assumptions that we can make. Like one is greater global integration. So what is, we are likely to see increasing interconnectedness of our world. We are likely to see more harmonized global standards on privacy that would be similar to the EU's GDPR. And the way that the EU's GDPR has had ripple effects worldwide, the future legislation, may focus on creating internationally consistent rules that make compliance easier for global businesses and provide more uniform protection for customers. Let me mention here that the EU is actually working on an AI Act. I think they started last year and it's still in the works, basically. Then another area that we think that the legislation might actually go towards is enhanced protection mechanisms. So as we continue to grapple with the power and potential of AI, future laws might provide clearer and stronger safeguards against use. So pay attention to the fact that all the laws about data protection are more about safeguarding the right, more than restricting the right. So this will include, the laws will include stricter regulations around consent and data use. Then there will be a clearer definition of what constitutes personal data and more robust requirements for transparency in automated decision making. Then we also would look at maybe tackling emerging technologies. So the current landscape of technology is evolving at an unprecedented rate, and it's bringing with it new considerations for privacy. So future laws will need to anticipate and address this, whether it's regulation of biometric data, tackling the complexity of quantum computing, or defining the boundaries of synthetic media, like deep fakes. Then there's the enforcement and penalties part, with companies like Facebook and Google facing massive fines for data breaches. We would expect future legislation to reinforce the punitive aspects of non-compliance. This could mean larger fines or even criminal penalties for severe breaches of data privacy. Then maybe we should consider AI and machine learning regulations. The future will likely see more explicit regulation around AI and machine learning. This could include guidelines for algorithm transparency, standards for AI decision making in critical areas like healthcare or finance. I like that the finance and healthcare people are here. And legislation addressing the challenges posed by autonomous systems. Then individual data rights, yes. We are already seeing a shift towards data ownership models where individuals have more control over their data.
I love
This
it.
trend could continue
Tell me your dream
with
is coming true.
legislation offering more defined rights for individuals to access and control and even monetize their personal data.
Love it.
So remember that I said these are educated assumptions based on current trends and they could change. So
Yeah.
it is very important for you to continuously monitor the legislative landscape and adapt as necessary. So you know to keep your laws, the terms of use, the privacy policy up to date. Yeah. So like for us at Roderick Bozimo and Company, we constantly stay updated with the latest legal developments to provide our clients with the most accurate and timely advice.
Thank you so much, Shadi, for that. So I wanted you to lastly highlight. So guys, everybody that came out here, thank you so much for coming. If you have any questions you think that you need one of our speakers to answer, you can just drop them in the comments so we can get to that, because I want this to round off by 9 so we can all go home and have like a good time. But Shadi, yes, your company reviewed a lawsuit against OpenAI. I know every other day they receive lawsuits, but this particular one that caught my attention. I would like to talk about it. What laws did they, to what extent did they break the laws? Not even what laws did they break. To what extent did they break the laws? Are they coming out of it? This particular one, will they come out of it? Or will money drop?
I cannot say anything categorically, but I would say that for those that are just joining us, I referred everyone to the website. The link is in my bio, so you can access the article. Yeah, so we tried to review the defamation suit against OpenAI, who are the providers of ChatGPT. And it's the plaintiff here is Mark Waters, and they a user had tried to use ChatGPT, and then it actually gave an output that Mark Waters considered defamatory. So in our article, we tried to review what the case, the trajectory of the case, and then how it would affect the legal landscape, especially with the fact that there's a rave about people using AI and ChatGPT right now, and the fact that it's making a lot of work easier. So we also developed a comprehensive AI legal audit checklist, which is very important, and it helps. It would help you know. Okay, so it's like a pointer to the things that you need to pay attention to, and best practices for tech companies, basically. So you can also download the AI legal audit checklist from the link. Using the link, you'd see it there in the article.
Wow. Thank you so much, Shadi. Thank you, Shola. Thank you, Esther. Thank you, Evan. Thank you, Tammy. Thank you, Olaride in absentia. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. So very quickly, I don't see any questions, but just to tell you a bit about our company, Big Two Academy, and why we're even hosting this in the first place. So Big Two Academy is an organization that's challenging or changing the future of work. So we understand that individuals, what holds individuals from the future they envisage for themselves, usually what skills they have. And in this day and age of technological advancement, I think anybody without tech skills would, to simply put, will be left behind, right? So we provide opportunities for people to learn, learn tech skills in the easiest of ways. So conversations like this help to not only build interest or not only address issues rather, but help build interest around, the whole tech space, tech skills, and all of that. So you can be following us. We would hope to host more of these conversations in the future. We are currently based in Cameroon, but we're expanding reach to Nigerian audience. That's why we have like more Nigerians here. Starting out with Ibadan. So we have some workshops that are in the works for this year. We're looking at an international conference next year. So you want to follow, stay around, be around, so you can know everything that happens over here. So is it next week? What's today? In 10 days, we'll be having a summer camp training, teaching young people from ages 9 to age 18 tech skills. We'll have tutors coming in to teach robotics, AI, web development, Python, CSS. As small or as young as they are, we want to start their careers early. Okay, because the earlier the better. If you have a niece and it's in Cameroon, just so you know, you have anyone in Cameroon that is of that age bracket, and you think instead of them to waste their summer holidays, which is usually wasted in just loafing around, they could join the summer camp classes, and you can get that information on our page. So thank you so much, everyone. Wow, thank you for coming back. I think that's what I should more reiterate. We had like a break in communication at some point, but you came back. I think that's encourages everyone here, the speakers, us, the organizers. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for all that I've learned. We'll try to put this in a written format, like a blog post. You can learn, can go back and read. But I feel like here right now, there are people that I'll call like audiences, right? So when you see people in this kind of spaces, you know that they have similar interests with what you have because you are here. So it's a good thing to follow each other, right? Follow our speakers, follow us, follow people you see here, so you don't miss out on opportunities that are related in this space. That's how you build your network. Thank you so much for coming out. Shout out to my bosses, they are here. They've not said anything all day, but I don't know if they want to say something. What's up, Palm? Do you want to say anything? I could put you on so that the group can just hear from you. Let me do that. Okay, I don't think I can see Wasa. Wasa, Pam. Okay, so I don't know if they want to say something. If not, we're ending this right now. Yes, I think we're ending this right now. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming out. Thank you, Timmy. Thank you, Shola. Thank you, Evans. Thank you, Esther. Thank you, Shade. We'll surely keep in touch because legalities part of things are important to us. So check out Babs.ai, obviously. I mean, check out Ripples.ai, check out GetCollabo.io, check out Mediverse.ai. Okay, Wasa wants to say something. My boss is here. You guys, please show some love. She wants to say something. Hi, Wasa.
Hi everyone. Thank you,
Hello.
especially to our speakers. That was so informational and an amazing session.
Thank you, Wasa. So that's Wasa Inoni, our co-founder, Pixel Academy, Pixel LLC. Check us out. Don't be strangers. Please stay, follow us, do all of that. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Check out Shade's page for the AI audits list. Check out the article we spoke about. I'm just trying to plug everybody. Check out Evans. There's always something he's building, something he's part of. Check him out. Yeah. Thank you guys for coming out. Thank you so much. And this bye from us, from me. Bye.
Thank you, Tillian.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you,
everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Please stay tuned. We have another webinar in 6 weeks.
Yes, there's another webinar.
Be sure to join.
Yes, we'll surely share for everyone to come on.